Chairman Jung's revelation had sent shockwaves through Yu Beom's world. He learned that there had been a significant leak of information from their secretive organization. 1. The breach had compromised only the instructions given to the team leaders, leaving the core of their operations intact. Suspicion had fallen squarely on the 3 team leaders, and Chairman Jung believed that a spy lurked among them, undermining their trust, jeopardizing the integrity of 1. Intriguingly, Chairman Jung had a proposition for Yu Beom. He offered him a coveted team leader position within 1 if he could successfully identify and eliminate the spy within their ranks. It was an opportunity for Yu Beom to prove his loyalty and worth to the organization, a chance to ascend to a position of power and influence. Eager to prove himself and solidify his standing within 1, Yu Beom readily agreed to Chairman Jung's offer, his determination burning brightly. Meanwhile, in a small, unassuming police station, Lieutenant Soman, a member of the National Police Agency's intellectual crime team, was engrossed in her relentless pursuit of the truth. She had discovered that Yu Beom was indeed connected to 1 company, a revelation that only intensified her suspicions about Chairman Jung. Despite her co-workers' well-intentioned advice to let go of the investigation and join them for lunch, Soman's resolve remained unshaken. She was determined to uncover the hidden layers of 1 company and reveal the secrets that had thus far eluded her grasp. Back within the clandestine world of 1, Yu Beom was resolute in his mission to identify the spy among the team leaders. He knew that this task required careful analysis and a discerning eye. He met with Steven, an old and trusted member of the organization with a storied history as a gangster. Yu Beom assessed Steven, recognizing the unlikelihood of him being the spy due to his extensive history and loyalty to 1. Their meeting took place in a private room within a dimly lit pub, an inconspicuous setting for their clandestine discussions. The purpose of their gathering was to meet their client, Baek-hoon, the vice chairman of Bitmain, a significant player in the world of cryptocurrency. However, from the outset, it was clear that Baek-hoon was far from an easy client to handle. His frustration grew evident. He vented it by hurling an apple at Yu Beom's head, a provocative act intended to assert his dominance. Baek-hoon then proposed a demeaning test, ordering Yu Beom to urinate in the room, promising a certificate of commendation for their amazing coin if he complied. The tension in the room escalated further when a waiter unexpectedly entered, attempting to serve their food. Baek-hoon's anger intensified at the intrusion, and he berated the hapless waiter, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere for all present. As Baek-hoon's anger reached its peak, he expressed his desire to use Yu Beom as a punching bag, an act that was meant to further degrade Yu Beom. Undeterred by the impending humiliation, Yu Beom sought Steven's permission for a daring counterproposal to turn the tables and use Baek-hoon as his punching bag instead. The unexpected turn of events hung in the air, setting the stage for a potentially explosive confrontation. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day: Mafia or Yakuza? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. The punching bag event had commenced, and the room was charged with an air of anticipation. Baek-hoon, fueled by anger and desperation, relentlessly delivered punches to Yu Beom's face, each strike imbued with the weight of his determination. However, Yu Beom remained unfazed, his composure unwavering. He even added an element of humor to the situation, playfully scoring Baek-hoon's punches with a pitiful rating, as if it were a contest of mere amusement. Baek-hoon, exhausted and terrified, had no choice but to return home, nursing his wounded pride and battered ego. He wasted no time in reporting the harrowing incident to his father, who was not only a formidable presence, but also a powerful and influential figure in their world. Baek-hoon's father was furious upon hearing what had transpired, and his anger knew no bounds. He immediately contacted Chairman Jung, the head of 1, demanding an explanation and swift retribution for the assault on his son. Chairman Jung, a shrewd and calculating leader, realized the gravity of the situation. They had crossed a dangerous line. The consequences of their actions could jeopardize the stability of 1 and the precarious balance they had maintained within the criminal underworld. In response, Chairman Jung called for an emergency meeting with Yu Beom, Steven, and other top members of 1 to discuss the fallout from the incident and how to handle Baek-hoon's powerful and vengeful family. During the meeting, tensions ran high as the members of 1 engaged in a spirited debate over the best course of action. Yu Beom, having demonstrated his physical prowess and unyielding determination during the punching bag event, argued passionately that they should stand their ground and not yield to the pressure exerted by Baek-hoon's family. He believed that conceding now would only embolden their rivals and undermine the reputation of 1. However, other members of 1 were more cautious, recognizing the potential repercussions of antagonizing such a powerful adversary. They advocated for a more conciliatory approach, suggesting that they should seek to make amends with Baekhoon's family and attempt to resolve the situation peacefully. They feared that provoking a feud with a family of such influence could have devastating consequences. Chairman Young, a man known for his ability to navigate treacherous waters, listened to both sides of the argument but remained silent, deep in contemplation. The fate of Won and Yu Beom's position within the organization now hung precariously in the balance. They anxiously awaited Chairman Jung's decision on how to deal with this unprecedented crisis. The atmosphere in the chairman's room grew even more charged as Chairman Jung finally addressed the urgent situation. He made it abundantly clear that they could not afford to hand over the person responsible for the assault on Baekhoon's son. Doing so would be a sign of weakness, a concession that could invite further challenges from rival organizations and ultimately undermine Won's standing in the criminal underworld. The stakes had never been higher, and the decisions made in the coming days would shape the destiny of Won and its members. Yu Beom remained outwardly silent, but internally his mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and calculations. He understood that Chairman Young's decision regarding the situation would not only shape the future of Won, but also have a significant impact on his own standing within the organization. The stakes were high, and the consequences of their choices weighed heavily on everyone present. Chairman Jung, the authoritative figure presiding over the meeting, continued to deliberate with his top team members, Kim, Steven, and Lee Ji-min, each with their unique perspectives and experiences, provided input on the best course of action. The room was permeated with an air of tension as they navigated the treacherous waters of their predicament. It was a pivotal moment that would determine the fate of Won and the extent to which they were willing to protect their own. The room's ambience, with its rich oak paneling and dim lighting, added to the gravity of the situation. A conference table, a symbol of power and decision-making, stood as a focal point where their fates hung in the balance. As they awaited Chairman Jung's final decision, tensions ran high. The members of Won braced themselves for the consequences of their actions, fully aware of the potential fallout from their choices. Yu Beom, in particular, felt the weight of his involvement in the assault on Baekhoon's son as he grappled with the realization that his actions had placed him squarely in the midst of the unfolding crisis. Chairman Jung's expression shifted as he addressed the disconcerting topic at hand. Concern and curiosity intermingled on his face as he leaned forward in his plush leather chair, his penetrating gaze taking in the reactions of those gathered around the table. His voice, marked by urgency, painted a vivid and unsettling picture of the looming threat posed by Baekwi, the notorious CEO of Bitmain. Bakwi's reputation as a formidable adversary with a history of ruthless tactics, even the collection of ancient, torturous devices from the Middle Ages, sent shivers down their spines. The realization of the dire situation they found themselves in hung heavily in the air, leaving them with a chilling prospect of survival, with odds stacked at a mere 1 in 10. Rejecting Bakwi's demands could mean plunging headlong into a brutal and all-consuming conflict. Amidst the grim reality of their situation, Yu Beom's thoughts raced as he considered his options. For a fleeting moment he contemplated confessing to the assault on the vice-chairman, bearing the burden of responsibility for their actions. The weight of the situation pressed upon him, and he could feel the expectant eyes of the group on him, awaiting a decision. Yet, as he wrestled with his conscience, a reassuring voice cut through the tension. It was Steven, the steadfast and enigmatic figure in the room, who intervened. His voice, calm and measured, took responsibility for the violent act, urging Yu Beom to remain inconspicuous and avoid incriminating himself. As Yu Beom observed Steven's unwavering determination, he couldn't help but wonder about his motives and the depths of his commitment to their cause. Why is Steven trying to appear so strong and unyielding in this situation? Yu Beom pondered silently. Despite Steven's selfless willingness to face torture and worse for the sake of the group, Yu Beom harbored an alternative plan, a secret strategy taking shape in his mind. He cleared his throat, drawing the attention of those around the table, their curious glances meeting his determined gaze. In that critical moment, Yu Beom unfolded his audacious plan to take down the white monster, setting in motion a series of events that would test the limits of their resolve and the depths of their courage. Yu Beom had meticulously crafted his strategy, aware that revealing all the details at once would be premature. Leaning forward, his voice unwavering, he expressed his willingness to gradually unveil the plan. However, he made it clear that for this plan to succeed, he needed something essential, a nod of approval from the chairman of One Company, Chairman Jung. His words hung in the air, and all eyes in the room turned to Chairman Jung, the man whose decision would ultimately shape the course of their mission. Yu Beom made a direct request, proposing that he should lead the 3 team leaders in resolving the issue with the white monster. Kim, one of the team leaders, seemed to disagree, her skepticism evident in the furrows on her brow. Yu Biom's status as a newcomer in one company played a part in her doubt. Undeterred, Yu Biom countered Kim's skepticism with a pointed question, challenging her to present a better plan. After a brief pause, Chairman Jung finally spoke, his deep voice resonating with authority and experience as he agreed to Yu Biom's request to lead the mission. However, he didn't mince words when he issued a stern warning. If you fail to destroy the White Monster, Chairman Jung's voice held a note of finality. The consequences will be dire. With their mission now officially set in motion, Yu Biom wasted no time. His first order to the 3 team leaders was straightforward: inspect their own computers. The request initially hung in the air, met with disbelief and resistance. However, Yu Biom's unwavering gaze and probing questions left them with no choice but to comply, their reluctance palpable. Chairman Jung, the silent observer throughout this exchange, couldn't help but feel a growing admiration for Yu Biom's determination and audacity. He recognized the young man's unwavering commitment, not only to take on the White Monster, but also to unearth the spy hidden among them. Chairman Jung couldn't help but wonder just how far Yu Biom was willing to go to achieve their shared goals. As the meeting concluded and they ventured outside the headquarters, the cool night air enveloped them. Stephen and Yu Biom found a quiet moment, taking refuge in the comforting haze of cigarette smoke. Stephen's gratitude was evident in his eyes as he expressed his heartfelt thanks to Yu Biom. Yu Biom, ever humble, brushed it off with a gracious smile. "It's not about saving you," Yu Biom insisted, his voice tinged with sincerity. Yet despite Yu Biom's attempts to downplay his actions, something significant had shifted between them. Stephen felt a deep and unspoken connection, bond that had been forged in the crucible of their shared mission. He looked at Yu Biom and made a heartfelt declaration. "From now on," Stephen declared, a genuine smile playing on his lips, "you're my brother." In the days that followed, Yu Biom and Stephen found solace in each other's company. They laughed together, watched movies late into the night, shared drinks, and even indulged in competitive video game sessions. Their camaraderie grew stronger with each passing moment, fostering a sense of trust and friendship that transcended their dangerous mission. As the clock struck 9 p.m. on a particularly quiet evening, signaling the end of another day filled with intrigue and danger, Stephen bid farewell to Yu Biom and headed back to his own home. Alone with his thoughts, Yu Biom couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was something more to Stephen than met the eye. And then, in a sudden revelation, a startling truth struck him. Out of the shadows, a young boy named Yong Min appeared, greeting Stephen with an affectionate smile. "Dad!" the child exclaimed, and Stephen's warm response sent shockwaves through Yu Biom's mind, leaving him with a plethora of questions and a newfound curiosity about his friend and brother-in-arms. Yu Biom's research on Stephen had yielded no information about him being married or having a family. The revelation that Stephen led a double life, destroying other families while seemingly leading a happy one of his own, filled Yu Biom with a sense of disgust. The truth was more complex than he had ever imagined, and it left Yu Biom grappling with conflicting emotions as he tried to make sense of the enigma that was Stephen. Despite the unsettling revelation about Stephen's hidden life, he extended a warm invitation to Yu Biom to visit his house and share a meal together. The air inside Stephen's cozy home was filled with the enticing aroma of homemade food, a meal prepared with care. Stephen proudly mentioned that it was Yong Min's favorite dish. However, their anticipated dinner took an unexpected turn when Yong Min, the child who had earlier referred to Stephen as Dad, rejected the meal and retreated to his room, leaving Yu Biom puzzled. Curiosity gnawed at Yu Biom. He couldn't help but inquire about the whereabouts of Stephen's wife. After all, he had just witnessed Stephen interacting with a child who clearly regarded him as his father. To Yu Biom's surprise, Stephen appeared confused by the question and clarified that he was still unmarried. The mystery deepened. Yu Biom's mind raced with questions about the child's true identity. Unable to contain his curiosity, Yu Biom prodded further, prompting Stephen to reveal a dark and unsettling story from his past. He explained that the child he had interacted with was the son of his deceased colleague, a revelation that sent shivers down Yu Biom's spine. As Stephen continued, he delved into the grim details of their shared history, recounting how he and his colleague had once been close and trusted allies within one. However, their alliance had taken a sinister turn when they uncovered the shocking truth. Their colleague had been an undercover police officer. In a chilling and disturbing confession, Stephen admitted to having killed his colleague, an act that left Yu Biom speechless. What made the revelation even more haunting was the fact that the colleague's young son had been a helpless witness to this horrifying act of violence. Yu Biom couldn't shake the unease that settled in the pit of his stomach. Despite the enjoyable time they had shared earlier, he couldn't ignore the dark realities of their shared lifestyle. It was becoming increasingly clear that Stephen was far from a good person. As the evening wore on, Yu Biom prepared to take his leave. However, Stephen persisted in inviting him to stay overnight, eager to learn more about the plan. Yu Biom declined, emphasizing the need for a good night's rest before their impending confrontation with the White Monster. He understood the risks associated with revealing their strategy prematurely and remained steadfast in his decision to keep their plan closely guarded. The next day, at the White Monster's residence, the tension in the air was palpable as the bodyguard informed the president of Yu-Biom's impending arrival. With a sense of foreboding, the White Monster granted permission for Yu-Biom to enter, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown. As Yu-Biom stepped into the imposing house, his greeting to the White Monster was polite and professional. He met the infamous figure with a demeanor that spoke of bravery, ready to face the daunting consequences that lay ahead. The White Monster, a shrewd and calculating man, couldn't help but be impressed by Yu-Biom's initial display of courage. He recognized in Yu-Biom a man who was prepared to confront whatever challenges lay in his path. Inside the opulent residence, the vice president, a looming presence in the room, insisted to his father, the White Monster, that Yu-Biom should be killed for his transgressions. However, the White Monster, ever mindful of the law, calmly explained that taking a human life was illegal. Instead, he ordered his henchmen to bring forth a menacing instrument of torture, an SS-class Iron Maiden. The tension in the room thickened as the White Monster instructed Yu-Biom to enter the menacing device. Initially, Yu-Biom remained silent, and the White Monster couldn't help but believe that Yu-Biom's ego had taken control of his body. With a glint of anticipation in his eyes, the White Monster drew his katana, ready to strike. Then, in a surprising turn of events, Yu-Biom found his voice and proposed a deal that left not only the vice president, but also everyone else in the room bewildered, setting the stage for a high-stakes negotiation that would shape the course of their dangerous confrontation. The moment Yu-Biom had been waiting for had finally arrived. With a calm and determined demeanor, he reached for his sleek tablet. The digital screen obediently flickered to life, illuminating the core of his meticulously crafted proposal. He embarked on a journey to unravel the intricate web surrounding the stablecoin issued by the notorious Bitmain, with a particular focus on their flagship cryptocurrency, the main coin. At first glance, this digital currency seemed like a paragon of stability and reliability, a shining beacon in the volatile world of cryptocurrencies. However, as Yu-Biom delved deeper into his research, a much darker and sinister truth began to emerge. His painstaking investigation had meticulously peeled back the layers of deception, unveiling a disturbing reality hidden beneath the surface. The main coin, despite its lofty claims and inflated market value, was, in essence, nothing more than a well-orchestrated scam, carefully crafted facade intended to lure unsuspecting investors into a trap. The revelation of this fraudulent scheme was not merely an expose, it was a damning indictment of the entire operation that powered Bitmain. Rewinding the clock to a few hours earlier, back at their secret headquarters, Stephen had been inquisitive about the specifics of Yu-Biom's audacious plan. Yu-Biom had outlined his strategy, explaining that they wouldn't confront White Monster directly, but instead aimed to undermine the very foundations upon which Bitmain stood. Kim, one of their associates, had voiced his skepticism regarding the feasibility of dismantling such a formidable entity. Yu-Biom had calmly and confidently clarified his viewpoint, elucidating that Bitmain was far more than just a cryptocurrency exchange. It was a smokescreen, a front for international criminal organizations deeply entrenched in money laundering activities. Yu-Biom had gone on to detail the inner workings of this nefarious operation. They've used the main coin as a tool for their illicit transactions, he had explained. On the surface, it appears to be a stable and trustworthy asset, making it the perfect channel for money laundering. But upon closer inspection, its foundational instability becomes apparent. The reserve assets are in disarray. Its guarantee system is nothing short of a sham. Yet the White Monster has masterfully portrayed it as a viable stable coin, successfully deceiving everyone involved. He had then pointed out a critical vulnerability. The success of this deception depends on the unwavering trust of these foreign criminal organizations in the White Monster's reputation. Bitmain utilizes the main coin as collateral, expanding its influence. If these entities were to discover the truth, trigger a mass exodus of clients, ultimately leading to the collapse of Bitmain. That is the White Monster's Achilles heel. As Yu-Biom's revelations hung heavily in the air, a palpable tension filled the room. The stakes of their impending confrontation with the enigmatic White Monster were now glaringly evident. In the present moment, White Monster, seemingly unfazed by Yu-Biom's expose, continued to maintain his composure. He coolly instructed Yu-Biom to report these damning findings to his VIP guests, fully aware of Yu-Biom's lack of access to the closely guarded and encrypted contact information of these influential individuals. Unperturbed, White Monster brandished his katana, a symbol of his readiness to eliminate any potential threat. Yu Beom, however, had one last ace up his sleeve. With a swift and deliberate movement, he revealed another page on his tablet, displaying the contact information of all 32 VIP guests, a diverse group hailing from various countries and backgrounds, each deeply enmeshed in the world of international crime. This unforeseen revelation momentarily halted White Monster's attack, as he struggled to comprehend how Yu Beom had managed to acquire such closely guarded and sensitive information. Yu Beom, ever the strategist, confessed to having infiltrated the vice president's computer earlier, securing the vital information needed for his audacious plan. Outside, Stephen and Kim, keeping a watchful eye on the unfolding drama, reflected on Yu Beom's every move, their anticipation tangible. Kim, intrigued by the audacity of Yu Beom's plan, inquired about the specifics. Stephen recounted their earlier encounter with Baek-hoon, the vice president, at a dimly lit local pub. Yu Beom had cleverly incapacitated Baek-hoon, seizing the opportunity to gain unauthorized access to his computer and extract the highly sought-after contact information of these international criminal networks. Kim expressed a profound sense of relief at their successful acquisition of such crucial data. However, Stephen added a shocking twist to the tale. They had found no useful information on Baek-hoon's computer. The contact information presented to White Monster was an elaborate fabrication, a testament to Yu Beom's exceptional charisma and cunning. Both Kim and Stephen marveled at Yu Beom's strategic acumen, particularly considering his status as a relative newcomer to their intricate world. In essence, Yu Beom had executed a masterful deception against seasoned scammers, outsmarting even the most seasoned of criminals. White Monster, now with his katana set aside, expressed his disappointment in his son's inability to detect the ruse. He then turned his attention back to Yu Beom and asked him what he desired in return for his remarkable feat. Surprisingly, Yu Beom's request caught both Stephen and Kim off guard. He demanded that 3 of their coins be listed on the Bitmain platform, an unexpected deviation from their original plan. White Monster initially agreed to Yu Beom's demand, but as he was about to formalize the agreement, he received an anonymous message claiming that Yu Beom's contact list was fake. This shocking revelation sent shockwaves through the room, plunging everyone into a maelstrom of confusion and uncertainty, leaving Yu Beom and his allies to grapple with this unforeseen complication and its potential ramifications. Yu Beom's sharp intellect and keen perception allowed him to piece together the unfolding situation with remarkable acumen. As the tense negotiations between Bitmain and One progressed, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was a spy lurking among them, a hidden hand working to undermine their delicate truce. The spy had discreetly dispatched a message to their enigmatic handler, White Monster, with the aim of sabotaging the negotiations, and Yu Beom's instincts told him that this was a pivotal moment. White Monster, a figure renowned for his cunning and guile, seized the opportunity to cast doubt on Yu Beom's claims. He suggested that they should verify the authenticity of the contact list information, a move that further muddied the already treacherous waters of their negotiations. White Monster's intention was clear. He sought to sow chaos and mistrust, exploiting any perceived weakness in their adversary. In a swift and determined act, Yu Beom reached for his smartphone and played an audio recording. This recording held a gravity beyond measure. It was a damning testament to the extent of Bitmain's involvement in illicit money laundering activities. The chilling revelations contained within the recording hung heavily in the air, and Yu Beom wielded this information like a weapon, brandishing it as a threat to expose White Monster and his darkest secrets to the assembled VIP guests. The vice chairman, overcome by a sudden surge of anger, lashed out at Yu Beom, hurling accusations of being a scam artist. However, White Monster remained eerily composed, convinced that Yu Beom's actions had inadvertently confirmed the falseness of the contact information. In White Monster's calculating mind, the solution was simple: eliminate Yu Beom and seize the recording, thereby erasing all evidence of their wrongdoing. Yu Beom, however, was quick to clarify the misunderstanding. He stood his ground, unwaveringly asserting the authenticity of the contact information. He revealed that he had scheduled the information to be sent within the hour, leaving White Monster taken aback by the sudden possibility that Yu Beom might be telling the truth. Meanwhile, Stephen and Kim, the onlookers, watched in bewildered silence, their confusion deepening as Yu Beom's narrative unfolded before them. White Monster's response was a menacing laughter that reverberated through the room, sending shivers down Yu Beom's spine. The question that lingered in the air was whether White Monster had completely lost his grip on reality. With cold authority, he He issued orders to his men to surround Yu Biom, boldly declaring his indifference to any potential fallout, confident in his ability to eliminate Yu Biom within the hour. Suddenly, the already tense atmosphere was shattered as one of White Monster's men swung a heavy pipe toward Yu Biom. Displaying remarkable reflexes, Yu Biom skillfully dodged the attack and countered swiftly, incapacitating his assailant. From a discreet distance, Stephen, who had been closely monitoring the situation, inquired if Yu Biom required backup. Yu Biom, with unyielding resolve, declined the offer of reinforcements. He was determined to handle the situation alone, fully aware that calling for backup would escalate the conflict with White Monster to an all-out war. Stephen, though concerned for Yu Biom's safety, respected his decision and stood ready to initiate Plan B if needed. Yu Biom now stood surrounded by White Monster's gangsters, his demeanor unshaken despite the overwhelming odds against him. In a sudden twist of events, the room was plunged into darkness as the lights went out. Amidst the ensuing chaos, the gangsters scrambled to light their lighters, only to discover that Yu Biom had vanished, along with the contract and the stamp, leaving them in disarray and disbelief. Fueled by anger and desperation, White Monster issued a frantic command to his henchmen, adamant that the contract must not leave the house. Yu Biom, concealed behind a wall, was momentarily spotted by one of the gangsters, prompting a near miss with a swung pipe that alerted the others to his location, leading to a tense confrontation. Yu Biom, now surrounded by 6 assailants, showcased his formidable combat prowess, deftly defending himself against multiple attackers. However, a sudden and brutal punch to his stomach momentarily stunned him, leaving him vulnerable to further attacks. At this critical juncture, a new and imposing figure entered the fray. Little Giant, a massive and formidable mercenary. Yu Biom realized the gravity of facing this new adversary. Just as Little Giant prepared to deliver a devastating blow, an unexpected punch from an unseen assailant disrupted the fight. To everyone's astonishment, it was Stephen who emerged, coming to Yu Biom's aid. Despite Yu Biom's earlier insistence on handling the situation alone, Stephen couldn't stand idly by. He declared Yu Biom as his brother, emphasizing the importance of their bond and the necessity of sticking together. In a breathtaking display of skill and power, Stephen, an SS danger-level fighter, swiftly subdued Little Giant. Together, Stephen and Yu Biom fought off the remaining gangsters, making a strategic retreat from the precarious situation. Following their daring escape, negotiations between Bitmain and One resumed, now heavily influenced by the audio recording and the critical information they possessed. Under the relentless pressure, White Monster eventually conceded, leading to the successful publication of One's 3 coins on the Bitmain platform. This strategic victory not only bolstered One's influence, but also enticed investors, resulting in significant capital gains. However, the triumph weighed heavily on Yu Biom's conscience. As he reflected on the consequences of their actions for innocent investors, grappled with the moral implications of their victory. The following day, Yu Biom embarked on the same lorry used by the leader the previous day, fully prepared for any interference from the spy in their midst. He had confided in Stephen, the one person he trusted not to be the spy, about the actual status of the contact information. In a calculated move, Yu Biom allowed the spy to believe that the information was fake, setting the stage for the next phase of their intricate plan. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.